Hey, greetings. Tomasio here, and today we are talking about why the women have taken over the pro-life movement. And is this a good thing or a bad thing? I think it's pretty obvious that the women have stepped forward. Lila Rose, Abby Johnson, uh, Susan B. Anthony List with Mrs. Danisford, Kristen Hawkins, you know, locally Pittsburgh, Nikki Bruni. If you look at the people who have become the chief spokesman or spokespeople for pro-life, it's the women. And that being said is probably very appropriate because abortion is primarily a woman's issue. Okay, it's killing, of course, men and women, boys and girls. I realize that. But as far as the national debate and legislation and concern, it falls under women's health. And the pro-abortion people are clearly have made this a woman's health issue. In other words, because the woman carries the baby for 9 months inside of her body, they're saying that the woman then should have the right to to abort that child if things aren't going well in her life or really for whatever reason. And so they're making it a woman's rights issue. Okay. So now, when I was young, my girlfriend had an abortion. I told her clearly I don't want this abortion and offered, to take her in to my dad's house. I was willing to do anything, but she wanted the abortion, and she was pressured by her sisters and other people, and I was pretty much helpless in the situation. I did not go, ended our relationship. All the things that they say happened. Okay, now I'm upset. Yes, I'm very, very upset. I love my daughter, and through the Blessed Mother have reconnected with my beautiful daughter, who was unfortunately her body was taken away from her, but her soul survived the abortion. And through prayer, I've been able to make contact and be in touch with my beautiful, lovely Angela Christine, my daughter. Okay, that being said, I could, press for legislation, father's rights, all this kind of stuff, and I believe and support that. But we're nowhere near that. I mean, that's so far off the radar. It's got to be the women who address this issue. And then the women can in turn say, hey, and there are also fathers who should have a voice, should have a say. But the fathers are not going to win this until the mothers win it. The women are the mothers. So the women have stepped up, they're taking over the pro-life movement. And I, I personally, let's put it this way. I don't think that, for example, in Pittsburgh with Nikki Bruni, she doesn't like the graphic signs, and it's typically the men who are more like, hey, look, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, and the women just aren't supportive of the graphic signs. Okay, that's pretty much the truth here. Okay, I've experienced it. Now, I don't agree with that. I think the women should be a little bit more open, but they're not. Okay, so, and if they're willing to step up, they're willing to lead the 40 Days for Life. They're willing to lead, all these different uh, events. They're willing to go publicly on the news, all this kind of stuff, and speak on behalf of the unborn and address the women's side as a pro-life woman. I think we got to let them do it. Okay. Now, the men at this point are like, okay, what do? We just let these women take over the pro-life movement? Yes, let them take over the pro-life movement. I would say let them take over. If they think they can do a better job, let them take over the pro-life movement. And what should the men concentrate on? Well, I can tell you right now, look at Randall Terry. Okay, he was the founder or co-founder of Operation Rescue, right? He was way ahead of everybody, and he led a very powerful movement. I was involved, with Operation Rescue proudly, and he's still very pro-life, but what is he doing? He's concentrating on radical Islam as a threat to our freedom here in America. And of course, everywhere, but specifically, we live here in America. So the pro-life men, okay, need to really once again follow Randall Terry in this, in the sense that we need to be evangelizing, we need to be standing up for Christianity in the public square, and we need to be, evangelizing Muslims, basically, because there's a lot of Muslims who feel very uncomfortable right now with radical Islam, and that they're sabotaging Islam. And so it's an opportunity now to bring these people in the church. Now, in order to do that, the church has got to be renewed. The church is in bad shape in America, very, very bad shape. You have the prosperity gospel, and they're thriving, right? Because everybody's getting rich. Well, that's not what it's all about, okay? It ultimately comes down to pro-life, okay? So, but you have to evangelize the churches because they're not on board. So the women want to take over the outreach and the activism and the crisis pregnancy centers, and that's fine, and we'll support them in that. But the men have got to become prophets in essence and rebuke the churches for compromising and being lukewarm. It's not a good time. It's not a fun time right now. When you have ISIS threatening and killing people here in America and wanting to take over, it's not fun. It's really not a fun time in America. And you have the most unbelievable presidential campaign coming up, and Trump sees it clearly. He sees where the battle is, okay? It is for the survival of Christianity. Now, Islam, radical Islam in particular, is on the move. They are literally trying to take over the world for Sharia, living under Sharia law. And, just research it, listen to people who have come out of that, and they'll clearly explain to you what their goal is. Okay, now the difference between Christianity, and Pope Francis said, oh, well, Christians said to go and take over the world too for Christ. Well, difference is Christians respect people's free will. So in America, we have freedom here. So a fair playing field says, you know what, if you're a Christian, you can evangelize. If you're a Muslim, you can evangelize. If you're Jehovah's Witness, you can evangelize. If you're Mormon, if you're Buddhist, if you're Kundalini Yoga, if you're Sikh, whatever, you have the opportunity to promote your faith in America, okay? But you have to respect people's free will. That's the thing. So when you respect people's free will, in other words, people are free to choose what religion they want to be part of, then what happens is the best religion, the best faith, the best teachings, the best experience is going to win under those circumstances. So in America, what's winning in America? Well, secularism is winning, it's for as far as I can tell, because they're party and fun and, you know what I mean, just whatever goes, and people are more comfortable with that. But as things get continually more difficult in the world and there's more suffering and horrible things happening, the fun is going to dissipate. And in other words, even the sports, people are getting sick of the ridiculous focus on professional sports, because really when the game's over, like, how much do you really care? You know what I mean? Let's have a parade. Well, I mean, come on. There's much more important, pressing things going on in America. Families, jobs, uh, mental health. I mean, the human race is under attack right now, and surviving is now on the minds of many, many people. We have government issues that we're facing, an increased, growing monster of a federal government that wants to get involved in every aspect of our lives. So our freedoms are being threatened. The men need to be involved and primarily challenging the churches. Whatever church you're in, it doesn't mean to leave your church. No, but get your church on board, help them evangelize where you are. And if they kick you out, then you move on. But what I'm saying is, Randall Terry is focused now on exposing radical Islam, and it's very, very important. And he's going to churches that has got to be exposed. I mean, this whole thing, because they want to force people into their religion. No free will at all. Forcing. God does not. God didn't even force Adam and Eve, to conform to Him. He gave them a free will. That is the dignity of the human being, is a free will. You have a choice. You're not an animal. You're not an insect. You're not a bug. So the women want to take over the pro-life movement, fine. That doesn't mean, the men disappear. I'm not saying that. But don't resist it. Let the women take over the pro-life work. The men have to take over the churches. We got to take over church. Make the church great again. I'm Catholic, trust me. Okay, I know. We got to make the Catholic Church more relevant, you know what I mean? And more influence. The pro-life message, the teachings of the Catholic Church need to get into the mainstream of society. The Blessed Mother needs to get into the mainstream. I mean, the mother of Jesus Christ. And this is, so I know what I need to do. I understand that completely, okay? As far as evangelization, so we got to get the churches back together. Then we got to hit the streets. We got to take over the streets. Jesus took over the streets, really, and the people, you know what I mean, and the social media and this and that. But we can't be like self-righteous. No, we got to respect people's free will, but we have to present a compelling reason for people to convert to Christianity, including Muslims. We need to really show why Jesus Christ is far superior, and we need to get that together, and we need to kind of come together, different denominations, whatever, and pro-life has to be our glue. Okay, we can't be promoting a Christianity that is not pro-life. That's ridiculous. That has no place, really. We have to present a Christian pro-life message that includes Mary as not God, of course, but really the John the Baptist of today. All the Christians got to be aware that she's been appearing, like literally appearing on this earth, telling people to convert to Jesus, miracles, all kinds of stuff, very, very powerful, very prophetic. So let the women do the pro-life activism, primarily. They want to lead it, whatever, fine. The men have got to lead the renewal of the church, cleansing of God's temple. We got to get the idols out of the church. There's tons of idols in the church, okay? That's what we got to do. And we have got to take over the streets of America for Jesus Christ. Okay, thank you. Pray about this. Okay, I need everybody to kind of get on board here. We can't be like spinning in circles, not knowing which direction. I'm saying Randall Terry is on target, okay, with his urgent call to expose radical Islam. I believe Randall is right on target there. And if you listen to Trump, that's what he's saying as well. And that's probably the most unpopular thing he has said, that we're going to not allow Muslims to come into this country indiscriminately. Obama's allowed over 1 million Muslims in the country without vetting them at all. So, and I think there's some good things in the Quran about the Blessed Mother, and but all of that doesn't matter if those who are controlling Islam and those who are, in essence, representing Islam are not respecting people's free will. That's a horrible, horrible thing. So, thank you. God bless. Have a great day.